Hey everybody, it's John. How you doing? Listen, I want to talk to you a little bit about this passage here, right here in this book, in the Bible. All right, just in case you think I'm like pulling all these things out my butt. All right, so anyway, let's read Matthew 18. We're gonna start in verse, 11. It says, "For the Son of Man is come to save that which is lost." Key. Come to save that which is lost. He's not coming to tell people how horrible they are. He's not coming to tell people, that they're going to hell or, sorry, I'm going to pour my wrath out on you. That's not why the Son of Man came. The Son of Man came why? To save that which was lost. Verse 12. How think ye? If a man have 100 sheep, and one of them is gone astray, does he not leave the 99 and goes into the mountains and seeks that which is gone astray? And if so be it that he find it, verily I say unto you, he rejoices more of that sheep than the 99 which went not astray. Even so, it is not the will of your Father, which is in heaven, that one of these little ones should perish. Okay, so a couple of things we want to see before we move on. The first one is, remember back in verse 11, the Son of Man came why? To save the lost. Okay, so in case you thought that God the Son, Jesus Christ, and God the Father, God the Father, okay, we're on a different page, had different personalities, had different motives. This one here says, it is not the will of the Father that any of these people shall perish, right? Any little ones. So it seems here Jesus Christ and God the Father are on the same page, which would explain John 1:1, the Logos, right? The Word was with God, the Word was God, and the Word was God, Logos being, the rational expression of God. So in other words, Jesus Christ is God in a form that we can understand and relate to. Got it? All right. Now, let's move on. So we know that God is not trying to drive anybody away. We know that God is not trying to pour wrath out on people. So, we also know, from looking at this passage again in the Bible, I'm reading the Bible, okay? It's right there. All right. So, that God, because, in case you didn't catch it, that whole story about the sheep and the shepherd is talking about God. God being the shepherd going to get the sheep. We know this because the very next verse says that God doesn't want anyone to perish. So it's God who's going out and finding the lost sheep. The lost sheep being people. Got it so far? I know it may seem maybe elementary to some of you, but at the same time, there may be somebody out there who's never read this or has read it and just, didn't come to the same conclusion. So let's move on. All right. So now, my friends, it says in verse 15, "Moreover, if thy brother shall trespass against thee, go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone. If he shall hear you, you have gained a brother." Okay, and then it goes on for the next few verses saying, take 2 or 3 witnesses, bring them to the church, the whole deal. Okay, there's a lot of churches, a lot of believers, a lot of, crazy people out there, religious types, who represent the Pharisees more than they represent Jesus Christ. They represent the ones that crucified Jesus Christ more than they represent Jesus Christ himself. Because they take that passage and say, if some guy's sinning, if some guy's failing, if some guy's not living up to the church standard or some religious like standard or living a certain lifestyle, you need to pull him aside and talk to him. But does it say that? But it says if he sins, if he trespasses, go and... Okay, let's read it again. I'm going to read it to you again slowly. Moreover, okay, just kidding. Moreover, if thy brother shall trespass against thee, right? Trespass in Greek means to miss the mark, right? So everybody, everybody, every preacher will tell you that. Any guy who's ever read the Bible and tried to teach it to you, well, hopefully. Anyway, should know, what that word means, right? If he doesn't, then you need to find a new preacher. All right. Anyway, it says, so if we read in this as moreover, if thy brother shall miss the mark against thee, go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone. Okay, here is the piece that most people miss. Against thee. Yes, that's right. Moreover, if thy brother shall trespass against thee. That means, listen, if some dude's got a problem with you, then you need to take him up on it and say, hey, dude, I ain't got no beef with you. Why you got a beef with me? Let's talk this out. Okay? People use that passage to back up, their religious condemnation of all sorts of different groups and all sorts of different people. They end up driving people away from Christ, driving people away from the church, and really, they use it as a way to get undesirables out. People that may have made them mad, people that aren't, following, the church standards, or people may be speaking the truth and they want to get them out. So they will go through all these motions, bring them in front of the entire church. Bring them in front of the entire church and tell the whole church, that they've done some horrible, wicked sin. And then cast them out, for 30, 40 days or until the person decides that they want to fall in line. It's kind of like a mafia tactic. Okay, no, my friends, no. You understand? This is basically saying if some dude's got beef with you, let's talk. Some guy's got a problem with you, personal problem with you, let's work it out. Ladies, same thing. If some chick got issue with you, talk about it. Hey, what's going on? What can we do to make this better? That's what it's all about. It's not about condemnation, because remember, the Son of Man came to what? Save the lost, not drive them out and humiliate them in front of a whole group of people. Even so, it is not the will of the Father which is in heaven that anyone should what? Perish. In other words, he doesn't want anybody being driven away. All right, my friends. God bless you. And keep the peace. Anno Domini and all that beautiful stuff. God bless you.